Dividend income feels slow until the day it suddenly speeds up. And that change usually comes from one invisible switch, where your payouts go the moment they land, and how fast they become new ownership. If you already receive dividends, you already have fuel arriving on schedule, which means you don't need fresh cash to grow income. First, you need a smarter route for the cash you already earn. Hello, it's Dave. Today we're building an engine I call Dividend Reinvestment Velocity, DRV, which is the speed at which dividend cash converts into more shares that create even more dividend cash. Most advice says income grows only when you add more money month after month. That sounds reasonable, but once dividends exist, your portfolio can feed itself if you control the routing. Think of your portfolio like a machine. Machines don't just need more fuel, they need better gearing, better timing, and fewer leaks. And DRV is the gearing that upgrades compounding. DRV is not a product, not a trick, and not a secret pick. It's a framework for turning distributed cash into accelerated ownership, so the next payout is larger without new deposits. Here's what you'll get. Why automatic drip can slow progress. How manual reallocation can speed it up. To case studies with real math and a 5-step DRV plan you can start today. Quick reality check. Doubling income without adding money is possible under certain conditions, but it's not guaranteed. We'll be explicit about assumptions, trade-offs, and the risks you must respect without changing your whole portfolio. Now let's kill the myth that holds people back. To be safe, you must reinvest evenly into every holding forever. Equal feels responsible, but equal can also be inefficient even when markets feel noisy. Compounding cares about impact. Impact often comes from focusing reinvestment where each dollar buys the most durable future dividend power, especially when valuations shift inside your existing holdings and quality stays intact. Picture a garden that produces seeds. You can scatter every seed everywhere, or you can concentrate seeds into the strongest plants until they dominate the harvest and raise next season's yield. DRV asks one question every time cash lands. Where does this dividend dollar create the biggest increase in next year's dividend dollars with the lowest chance of a cut or a freeze? If this idea already clicks, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this channel is about repeatable systems, not hype. Then stay with me, because the math gets even better. To answer the DRV question, you must separate yield from quality. Yield is a snapshot. Quality is a process. DRV rewards the process because the process is what keeps paying. If you remember one line, remember this. Income growth is not just about yield today. It's about the rate your income buys more income, and DRV is that rate without relying on perfect timing. Let's define it cleanly. DRV equals dividend cash multiplied by reinvestment discipline, multiplied by the quality of what you buy, divided by the price you pay for that future income. You can't control markets, but you can control discipline, quality filters, and purchase rules. Those are the levers that speed up the loop without injecting new capital while keeping risk under control. The slowest DRV happens when dividends arrive and sit as idle cash. Idle cash has zero yield, zero growth, and zero compounding until you assign it a job so the engine stays predictable. The second slowest DRV happens when you drip into everything, regardless of price. You might be buying expensive income while cheaper. Higher quality income is available inside your own portfolio with disciplined execution over time. Drip is still useful. It automates behavior and removes emotion. But consistency is step 1, and optimization is step 2. And DRV is the optimization layer on top of consistency, and it works with what you have. When DRV is the goal, a hybrid approach often wins. Keep baseline DRIP for core holdings. Then manually redirect a portion of dividends into a focused acceleration bucket without relying on perfect timing. That acceleration bucket is where you buy the next best income engine shares, durable cash flows, reliable payouts, and the ability to grow dividends through different economic seasons. So your reinvested cash keeps getting stronger. Notice what I did not say: the highest yield, the hottest ticker, or the most viral chart. DRV requires boring, repeatable, survivable income that can compound for years using simple rules you can follow. So what makes something hypotential for DRV? First, a history of paying through stress. Second, payout ratios that leave room. Third, business economics that don't collapse overnight while keeping risk under control. You also want payout growth, not just payout size. A smaller yield that grows consistently can outrun a bigger yield that stagnates. And DRV loves growth because growth multiplies future cash, so the engine stays predictable. Here is a simple order of operations: durability first, growth second, valuation third, diversification fourth. If durability fails, the rest doesn't matter, because a cut destroys velocity with disciplined execution over time. Now, valuation, people avoid it because it sounds like timing, but DRV isn't guessing tops. It's refusing to overpay for your next unit of income when better prices appear, and it works with what you have. Use an income cost lens. How many dollars must you invest today to buy $1 of annual dividend income from this holding at today's price, using its current dividend rate without relying on perfect timing? If holding A costs $50 to buy $1 of annual income, and holding B costs $44, similar durability, DRV says, reinvested dividends should lean toward be using simple rules you can follow. That's not prediction, that's math. Math turns reinvestment from passive to powerful because you upgrade the efficiency of every payout you already receive over and over while keeping risk under control. This is why equal drip can be inefficient. Prices move daily. Opportunities rotate. Sometimes your best buy is already in your portfolio waiting for reinvested cash to arrive, so the engine stays predictable. Now we activate DRV with what you own. Step 1 is boring but essential. Measure your dividend inflow as a monthly equivalent, and write the number down with disciplined execution over time. If you don't know your monthly dividend number, you can't manage velocity. Velocity is a rate, and rates require a baseline. 10 minutes of clarity beats months of guessing, and it works with what you have. Step 2. Pick your acceleration target for the next cycle, usually 1 or 2 holdings, not 10. DRV needs meaningful concentration of reinvestment. Otherwise, the change is too small to notice. Meaningful does not mean reckless. It means focused within guardrails, quality filters, a maximum position size, and a clear reason you're choosing this target right now without relying on perfect timing. Step 3. Choose your reinvestment method: full, drip, full manual, or hybrid. For most people, hybrid wins because it keeps consistency while still exploiting valuation differences using simple rules you can follow. In hybrid mode, maybe 70% of dividends drip across core holdings, while 30% is redirected into the acceleration bucket to buy the best value target that meets your rules while keeping risk under control. Step 4 is timing, and I'm not talking day trading. I'm talking a schedule that matches your payouts, like a monthly buy window or a quarterly buy window, so the engine stays predictable. A schedule prevents analysis paralysis and emotional hesitation during volatility because your plan says when dividends arrive. We deploy them on schedule, using rules, not feelings, with disciplined execution over time. Step 5 is review. Review slowly enough to avoid churn, but often enough to catch problems. Every 90 days, check payout safety, cash coverage, and allocation balance, and it works with what you have. Before case studies, learn the 3 levers that drive DRV. Because once you see these levers, you can build an income accelerator with almost any reasonable dividend portfolio without relying on perfect timing. Lever 1 is reinvestment rate, the percentage of dividends you reinvest instead of spending. Spending is a leak, and leaks slow the loop more than most people realize using simple rules you can follow. Lever 2 is income growth rate. Whether the holdings you buy tend to raise dividends over time, rising payouts increase your future cash without extra decisions from you while keeping risk under control. Lever 3 is purchase efficiency, buying more future income for the same dollars by directing reinvestment when valuations are favorable. So your dividends buy more shares per cycle so the engine stays predictable. Improve 1 lever and DRV rises. Improve 2 levers and the loop accelerates. Improve all 3 and income growth can feel dramatic, even without adding new deposits, with disciplined execution over time. Case study 1 is moderate, realistic, and repeatable. It shows how income can grow roughly 50% in about 2 years through disciplined routing, steady execution, and a refusal to chase fragile yield. Imagine a portfolio producing $1,000 per month in dividends. You reinvest all of it, but you stop spraying it across 12 holdings and direct most into 2 targets, and it works with what you have. Assume those 2 targets have a combined yield around 4% and dividend growth around 6% annually, while the rest of the portfolio stays stable and keeps paying baseline cash without relying on perfect timing. You run a hybrid plan, 70% drip for stability, 30% manual for speed. Each month, $300 buys more shares of the best value target using simple rules you can follow. In year 1, share count rises meaningfully in the bucket targets, and because you deploy monthly, you buy through both dips and rallies, smoothing your average income cost while keeping risk under control. By the end of year 1, total dividends rise. Not because you added money, but because reinvested dividends created more ownership, and ownership created a larger next payout, so the engine stays predictable. Now, the key: you don't reset when income rises. You let the larger dividend stream feed the same process, increasing reinvestment dollars and accelerating DRV automatically with disciplined execution over time. By month 18, the bucket produces noticeably more cash, which gets partially redirected again, and the monthly dividend number climbs from 1,000 toward 1,500, and it works with what you have. That's about 50% growth, driven by reinvestment, focus, and discipline. No leverage, no day trades, no miracle yield, just rooting, efficiency, and durable compounding without relying on perfect timing. Case study 2 is aggressive. It shows how doubling income in about 3 to 4 years can happen when you push all 3 levers hard. While respecting survival rules, using simple rules you can follow, start with the same $1,000 per month dividend stream, but now reinvest 90% and spend 10%, because spending reduces fuel and slows the acceleration while keeping risk under control. You also increase focus. Instead of 30% manual reinvestment, you redirect 60% into the acceleration bucket, while 40% stays on drip for core stability, so the engine stays predictable. Now add a strict purchase rule: only buy the bucket target when its income cost is at least 10% cheaper than its own recent average. So you avoid overpaying with disciplined execution over time. When the primary target is expensive, you don't force buys. You temporarily direct bucket cash into the second best quality target that meets your income cost rule and durability filters, and it works with what you have. This keeps velocity high without guessing tops or bottoms. You're not forecasting, you're upgrading efficiency, and efficiency is what turns the same cash flow into faster compounding without relying on perfect timing. By the end of year 2, the bucket becomes a larger share of your total dividends. That bigger dividend stream means bigger reinvestment dollars, which means DRV accelerates, again using simple rules you can follow. This is where doubling becomes plausible. The loop feeds itself with increasing cash, while your rules prevent you from buying expensive income. So you accumulate more income per dollar while keeping risk under control. But aggressive DRV can fail if you chase fragile yields, ignore payout safety, or concentrate into a business that looks stable until it suddenly isn't. So guardrails are non-negotiable, so the engine stays predictable. Guardrail 1. If payout coverage deteriorates for multiple quarters, pause reinvestment there immediately. Guardrail 2. Cap position size, so focus never becomes reckless concentration with disciplined execution over time. Guardrail 3. Diversify by engine type. You can focus reinvestment without making your entire portfolio depend on one cash flow source. DRV is speed with survival, not speed alone, and it works with what you have. With guardrails, the aggressive case can move monthly dividends from $1,000 to $2,000 in 3 to 4 years, depending on yields, growth, and market valuations without relying on perfect timing. Notice the phrase "depending on." We work with ranges, not promises. The win is not the exact doubling date. The win is building an income engine that accelerates over time using simple rules you can follow. Now bring this to your portfolio. You don't need my imaginary numbers. You need a process you can execute with the holdings you already own and the dividends they already produce while keeping risk under control. First, list every holding and its annual dividend income contribution. Sort from largest to smallest, because optimizing your biggest cash contributors often creates the fastest DRV gains so the engine stays predictable. Second, identify which holdings have the best durability and growth profile. DRV wants targets that can survive stress without cutting payouts, because a cut is a hard reset on your compounding progress. Third, compute an income cost number for each target, price divided by annual dividend per share. This tells you how expensive your next dollar of annual income is today with disciplined execution over time. Fourth, choose 1 or 2 acceleration targets that score high on durability and reasonable on income cost, and commit to them for 90 days to prevent constant switching, and it works with what you have. Fifth, decide your drip split. Maybe core holdings stay on drip for stability, while the acceleration bucket is manual for speed. Your split can change as you mature without relying on perfect timing. Here's the common objection. Manual reinvestment sounds like work. Fair, but the work is tiny if you build a routine, and routines protect you from emotional decisions using simple rules you can follow. A monthly routine can be 15 minutes. Dividends land. You check your income cost rule, you place one buy, you update one number, and then you walk away while keeping risk under control. If you want simpler, do it quarterly. Collect dividends, then deploy them in one scheduled buy window. Frequency matters less than consistency, and consistency is what compounds so the engine stays predictable. DRV improves when you reduce friction. If your platform supports fractional shares, use them, because fractional shares let every dividend dollar work immediately, instead of waiting with disciplined execution over time. Also consider taxes and account types, because taxes can add drag. Even with drag, DRV works because it's about direction and efficiency, not perfection, and it works with what you have. Now we talk leaks, because leaks kill velocity faster than any market dip. The biggest leak is spending dividends too early, before the engine is large enough to matter and you can repeat it monthly. A second leak is reinvesting into weak businesses just because the yield looks big. A cut forces you backward, and backward moves cost time, which is your most limited resource. A third leak is constant tinkering. Optimization can become churn, and churn creates fees, mistakes, and emotional decisions that reduce the long-run compounding rate because you trade your rules for impulses. So here's the DRV mindset. Slow thinking, fast execution, boring repetition. You think slowly when setting rules, then execute quickly when cash arrives, because the rules keep you calm during volatility. Mid-video check. If you want me to build a DRV checklist template, you can comment the word DRV below. And if you're learning something useful, subscribe so you don't miss the next system. Now, let's address fear of focus. DRV doesn't mean abandoning diversification. It means temporarily focusing reinvestment while keeping a diversified base, like watering a few plants more for a season. For extra safety, set a maximum position size rule. Once a holding hits the cap, new dividends stop flowing there and the bucket rotates to the next best target, and it works with what you have. Rotation is not trading. You are not selling. You are choosing where the next dividend dollar goes. That single choice, repeated for years, can radically change outcomes without relying on perfect timing. One more pain saver: if a yield looks unusually high, treat it like a smoke alarm. It might be opportunity, or it might be distress. Verify coverage, balance sheet, and cash stability. If you can't explain why the yield is high in one sentence, you don't accelerate into it. DRV rewards patience, because patience prevents cuts, and cuts destroy velocity while keeping risk under control. When you do DRV right, it becomes almost boring. Your dividend inflow rises, reinvestment buys more shares in the best targets, and each quarter your snowball grows without new money. Before you go, tap like, subscribe, and leave a comment with the year you want your dividend income to feel unstoppable. I read those, and I build future playbooks around them.